Hi guys, Woody here. Welcome back to another video doing a Champman 0102 Legend remade in FM23. And today, yes, it is the best free transfer you have ever signed, Taribo West. But before we get started, guys, just want to say if you are watching this and you're not subscribed, if you could, it would mean a lot to me. I'm trying to get 400. Hit that like button as well. Just pushes the video out to more people, lets them see the other remakes we have made. Done about 12, I think about 12. Go and check them out. They're all pretty good. And if there's one there that I haven't done, that was a legend that you really liked in CMO 102, and for someone who didn't, career probably didn't quite pan out the way it should have been in that game, pop it down in the comments and I will endeavor to get onto that as soon as possible. I know it's been some time since I got one of these out last time, but you know, just busy. Anyway, let's go and check out that man, Taribo West. And here he is, Taribo West. He's obviously at no club because, I mean, he was obviously always going to be on a free, wasn't he? So, Taribo West at 17-year-old, as a 17-year-old centre-back, I should say. Physically looks amazing, mentally pretty good as well. Wanted by PSG at the moment. Not really too much to touch on there. Nigeria will click on them. They are ranked 31st in the world at the moment. Maybe Taribo West can do something with that. He's wanted by PSG at the moment. Be interesting to see if he goes there. But I guess let's shoot 5 years into the future and see if Taribo West has turned up at PSG. Probably. Didn't go to PSG in the end. Here he is. He's an elite centre-back. 28 caps for the national team. Looks pretty damn good. Plays no through balls and dives into tackles. Love a central defender that dives into tackles. Worth quite a lot of money on 84k a year as well. Let's have a look here. So first season, Plateau United, they sent him on free at the end of the season. So he sat for a whole year and didn't do anything by the looks of it. Good season there from 18 games then. So the start of the season before Gladbach paid just over $500,000 for him. Was okay there in 2 seasons, and then Manchester United 46 million for him. First international cap versus the Gambia. First international goal as well. Gladbach, yep, always going to happen. Young African Footballer of the Year. Nice, very good. Gladbach getting relegated. So that could have been a relegation release clause, or he could have gone for a lot more. But yeah, interesting start to Taribo West's career. Nigeria at the moment, they're up to 27, so just 4, so probably not really going to win too much. Let's go and have a flick through here at the moment. They are African Nations qualifiers, World Cup qualifiers for 2024, African Nations, Group E. They get to the second round, bumped out by Ghana. Oh, wow. What? Check out their qualifiers. I was going to say there's World Cup games they're getting knocked out, but obviously miss out on World Cup. Here they go, more qualifiers. And this is more qualifiers for the 2026 World Cup, which doesn't look like they make that World Cup. No African nations either for them. We've got the African nations coming up at the moment. Congo, Tanzania, and Zambia. It's coming up very, very soon. So other than that, not really much to write home about for Nigeria for Taribo West. But he's looking pretty good. Let's go and see if he's going to stay at Manchester United in another 5 years. Here we are now, 10 years into the future, 2032, Taribo West. Is he still at Manchester United? He is. He is still at Manchester United. He is wanted by Inter, though, at the moment. He is still an elite centre-back. 64 caps for the national team, 27 years old. Look at those physicals and mentals. Oh, gets forward wherever possible. Plays simple short passes as well. Are his player traits. Worth over 100 million on £300,000 per week now. Looking really, really like an elite centre-back. Look at that, 20 strength, 20 aggression, 20 bravery, 20 leadership. What a man, what a absolute monster he is. And he has had some fantastic years in the Premier League, always averaging over a 7. Well done. That's actually his worst season there on a 7.04. Doesn't score a lot of goals or getting a lot of assists, but obviously as a defender, that's not going to happen too much. Let's go and check out his milestones for Man United. African Defender of the Year runner-up, as if he's not winning that. He's won the FA Cup, African Defender of the Year. He finally gets it. Wins the Premier League with Manchester United and the Community Shield, African Defender of the Year again. African Defender of the Year runner-up. Who's he running this up to? African Defender of the Year. Oh, yeah, Diamade. Oh, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And he's won the Carabao Cup there as well. So not a lot of success for Nigeria, looks like. They're up to 18th in the world. He is their captain now and their key player. Have they won a Cup of Nations since then? Can we see? Go back to 2027. They second round, their qualifiers. African Cup of Nations qualifiers, World Cup qualifiers. Doesn't look like they're doing very good here. More World Cup qualifiers, not doing good here. Third place playoff. They win third place in the African Nations in 2029. They get to the World Cup in 2030, lose to Brazil and draw with Slovenia, and then are dumped out. So, disappointing there. They've got the World Cup coming up. Oh, they're more qualifiers. I don't know why I think the World Cup's every 2 years, so that is a bit silly of me. But there is Nigeria, and there is Taribo West at 27 in his prime. Let's see if he is still at Manchester United and still a top player at 32. Right, here we are, another 5 years into the future. Let's go and check out Taribo West. About 32 he should be now, and he's still at Manchester United. Still a legendary centre-back and still really good. Some of his stats have dropped off there, his strength, but he is still really, really amazing. 110 caps for the national team. Value still in that high range. 200k a week, down a little bit there, but 320 appearances for Manchester United. A couple of goals. I was going to say hasn't played, no, but it's ticked over to the new season. That's why. So a lot of game time for Manchester United. A lot of great games. Man of the matches, 7 man of the matches for them there. That is really, really good. So let's go back to 2032. They won the Carabao Cup, African Defender of the Year runner-up, African Defender of the Year third place. God, that's a stitch up that he's not winning that all the time. Wins it in 2034, but Manchester United do not win any other trophies as he gets Europa League Player of the Season, Defender of the Year, African Defender of the Year again. So he's cleaning up African Defender of the Year. Is there like an African Player of the Year? Footballer of the Year? No, they don't give that award. So he just gets Defender of the Year. So he's doing it at the moment with this guy, Kumara, who looks pretty decent as well. But yeah, it looks pretty decent. Old Taribo West. Let's go and check out Nigeria. They were 18th last time. They're up to 12th. He's still the captain. Have they won anything? It doesn't look like they've won an African Cup of Nations at all. 2032. World Cup qualifiers. African Nations. Quarterfinal against Burkina Faso. Disappointing. Disappointing. 2034. Not a lot happening there. 2035. Is that African Nations? Quarterfinal again to South Africa. 2036, their qualifiers. Other than that, not really too much happening for. They've got another quarterfinal against Ghana here. So they're making quarterfinals consistently in Nigeria, but unfortunately not winning it. Let's just have a look at their... who has the most caps for Wolf Ndidi, 129. So Taribo West is... he's catching up to him. Will he make it? 5 more years in the future. He'll be retiring close to 37. Let's go and check him out. Here we are. It is 2043. Yes, I've jumped a little bit ahead because Taribo West, he is about to retire this season, still at Manchester United. Been playing it right back a bit now. Interesting. Still really good. Physicals have obviously dropped off quite a bit. That acceleration, the agility, pace, strength and that. But he's still an absolute beast of a player. Wages dropped down a bit. 163 caps for the national team. Surely the most cap player there. Let's go and have a look at his career stats. Still at Manchester United. Still absolutely bossing it. Look at that. Getting some assists, some goals. 13 goals, 50 player of the matches, and an average rating in his career of 7.24. Does he win any more trophies with Manchester United? African Defender of the Year? No. Nigeria win the African Cup of Nations and a Carabao Cup. They win the African Cup of Nations again. He gets a few more African Defender of the Year awards, as you would expect. But other than that, and they win the Champions League. Look at that in his second last season. He wins the Champions League with Manchester United. Crazy stuff. Wow. Pretty decent career there for Taribo West. He's won Champions League, Cup of Nations, FA Cup. I think they won the FA Cup quite a few years earlier. Yeah, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and the Premier League. he's won them all. He's won them all. So good on Taribo West. Let's see what Nigeria have done. We know they're still at 12th here at the moment. Records, surely he's the most capped player on 163. He is. And obviously they have, if we can have a look here, they've got those two African, clicky little bit click happy there. They've got those two African Cup of Nations, 2039 and 2041. Other than that, I don't think they would have done very well in World Cup. Oh, third round in the World Cup. That's not too bad. I think that's probably their best showing in a World Cup, I reckon. Go and find the last World Cup, which 2038. Yeah, bumped out Germany in the second round, Haiti and Serbia. So not great stuff. I don't know what I've done there. I've just clicked too quickly. Not great stuff World Cup wise, but two African Cup of Nations. Oh, they got to the quarterfinal. I missed. What was I looking at there? Yeah, quarterfinal. Did I click here and thought it was third round? No, they beat Spain. They got to the quarterfinal. Oh, gutting. But two African Cup of Nations for the man that is, we'll get back to him here, Taribo West, 38 years old. He's retiring in a couple of weeks' time. His career is all done and dusted. 556 appearances in total, 13 goals. Didn't quite get 500 appearances from Man United. You'd be pretty cheesed at that, wouldn't you? But apart from Plateau United and Gladbach, stayed at Man United for all his career there, racking up the appearances. Well, guys, we're going to end it right there. There is Taribo West remade in FM23. Let me know if you want any other players done, and I'll try and get around to them as best as I can. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.